if you have not heard, perhaps not, a stunning juxtaposition from where he was a few years ago. Antonio Brown, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, Antonio Brown is now a wanted man in Miami-Dade County. Antonio Brown, what did he do? Well, he's wanted for attempted murder charges. That seems like a rather serious crime, attempted murder. And this all stems from an incident. We talked about it a little bit when it happened about a month ago in May 16th, a celebrity boxing event in the Little Haiti neighborhood of Miami. And police say that Antonio Brown decided he was an action hero. I added that part. Grabbed the gun of a security officer, ran towards another man, and fired at least 2 shots. Now, one of those shots came very, very close to ending the life of one of the people. It grazed the neck. If it had gone through the neck, turn out the lights, the party's over. Now, a judge issued a warrant setting a $10,000 bond and ordering Antonio Brown to remain under house arrest. And at last report, from what we have been able to decipher, he is still out there, Antonio Brown. Will he leave the country? Will Antonio Brown become a fugitive from justice? Who knows? Developing hot, ... So let us discuss. It's an interesting story. The question, we're going to frame it this way. So the cops in Miami, the authorities there, are seeking to arrest Antonio Brown, the former NFL player Antonio Brown, on a charge of attempted murder. Your thoughts on these developments, your thoughts on these latest developments. So I've got Microscope, Motown, and Police Escort. And we will combine all of these things together, and it's going to be just like herding frogs. Just like we're herding frogs. Yeah. So, number one. Let me try that again. Number one. There you go. Bonkers. This story is bonkers. It is. Now, Antonio Brown's camp has, I say camp, it's mostly just him. But the contention is that, hey, listen, Brown was the person who was the victim here. He was jumped. He acted in self-defense, claiming he was detained and then released at the time. He said, they released me. In fact, supposedly, that night, the night of the shooting, they released him. He went back to the event. So he's like, I'm not going home. I'll go to the event. Now, here's the problem. Let's go to the videotape, the surveillance video, the cell phone videos also. If you believe the initial reporting, they claim to show a much different story than Antonio Brown's version of events, that Brown was punching a guy, grabbed the security officer's weapon, and bang, bang. Now, the legal stakes on this are ginormous. As you might imagine, this is not your, hey, I got caught I parked my car illegally and I got a ticket, or I got busted for jaywalking. This is attempted murder. And so attempted murder with a firearm is a serious felony. And depending on the exact charges, which we have not seen yet, you're looking at decades in prison. So how will this play out? Now, we don't know how it's going to play out. However, I am a distant relative of Nostradamus and friend of Nostradamus. He lives in Seattle. And as someone who is all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipresent when it comes to these kind of stories, Antonio Brown is going to pull out a bugle, and he's going to call in the cavalry, Antonio Brown. He's going to invoke the legal gods will come down from the heavens here. And that means a celebrity lawyer here, a celebrity lawyer there, a celebrity lawyer everywhere. They're going to enter the chat. Now, from what we know right now, based on the available information, it is going to come down to perception of the video, right? It's going to come down to how do you interpret the cell phone video? How do you interpret all the different footage they have? Because everything was recorded. So the MALLER microscope, under the MALLER microscope, we're looking at a frame-by-frame Zapruder film-style breakdown where each side will bring in legal experts to methodically analyze the clips and explain why this is wrong and this is guilty. And then Antonio Brown's going to say, man, this guy's the victim. This guy's the victim. Now, if it does get all the way to trial, and normally these things don't go to trial because if you're facing a lot of jail time, you work out a plea deal to lesser charges so you avoid the big part of the jail possibility, and then there's the other possibility that the charges are dropped. And so all those options are there. But if this does, in the multiverse, if this does go down to a trial, just stay with me on this. You're going to have hand-picked expert witnesses who will support Antonio Brown and his legal argument. You're also going to have hand-picked legal experts for the prosecution. Now, AB's defense, again, is going to claim, listen, he was the one jumped. Victim, capital V, victim. And he panicked. Yeah, he shouldn't have done that, but he fired. It was in self-defense. Now, the issue is, was this person a threat who he shot, if he did indeed shoot the gun, which is what the accusation is. And they have the video, so they must be really confident they have the goods on Brown. So was he facing Antonio Brown? Was there a possible threat to Antonio Brown? Was he running away from Antonio Brown? That's a problem. That is if the guy's running away from you and you shoot him and it hits the neck, even if it kind of grazes the neck, but they're going the wrong direction, problem, right? That's a problem. And so they're going to lean on these videos, and there'll be some witness testimony and all that stuff. Apparently there was an off-duty officer from one of the stories I read that said that Brown took the weapon during the fight. Antonio Brown, this guy has mastered off-field drama. He did as a player. My favorite Antonio Brown story is when he was sent over to the Raiders, and he never played a game because he got frostbite on his feet, and he couldn't play, which was great. And you also know what his defense is going to be. He's going to throw mercy on the court. Say, listen, I suffer from CTE. I've got a messed up brain. I have a degenerative brain disease, and you can't punish me. And you know that'll be brought up. They will trot out every possible expert. It's not his fault. He's got CTE. He's handicapped. And now Brown is 36. He turns 37 next month, I believe I'm correct on that. So if he's convicted and he ends up going to jail for, 15, 20 years, you're looking at Antonio Brown being gonzo till he's in his 50s or 60s. That's a long time. Long time to be away. All right, now, page 2. We head now to Cincinnati, where the food is bad, according to Justin. The football team is not great, and the baseball team's blah. Well, the Bengals, we'll talk about the football team, the first-round pick, the edge rusher, Shemar Stewart, is not happy. And we have a update. Stewart left the mandatory minicamp. He's in a contract boondoggle with the team. So is there cause for concern that the Cincinnati first-round pick, Shemar Stewart, has left minicamp? So I've looked at this. I've examined the facts. Despite the headlines, rookie rebellion in Cincinnati, plus same old penny pinching Bengals. Negative publicity. Despite that, is there cause for concern? The cause for concern is minimal, and here's why. You cue up the Motown tune, Martha Reeves and the Vandells, right? Nowhere to run, baby. Nowhere to hide. Because despite the obvious haggling that is going on, the Bengals need Stewart. And the player is absolutely, I'll clean this up for radio, the player's porked. Okay, they're porked. The battle is over the minutia. It's over the fine print. It's not over cash. And so say the Bengals are cheap. Yeah, the Bengals are cheap. In this case, though, the Bengals are not offering less money. A lot of people are just reading the headlines. They're like, wow, the Bengals must be lowballing this guy. They're not. And the only reason the Bengals are not lowballing Stewart is because they can't. The CBA does not allow that to happen. Everything's slotted. If depends where you're drafted, you're going to get X amount of money based on where you're drafted. That's it. But ultimately, Shemar Stewart doesn't have any leverage. The only option is to sign with the Bengals. Here's why. If you look at the contract between the NFL and the Players Association, it makes it almost impossible to not play for the team that drafts you unless you just don't want to play football and want to get a normal job and just give up football. Like, look at the options. He could sit out. Stewart could sit out the season. However, that would just delay the big money because you get the big money on the second contract. So you delay the time until you can get paid as a rookie and get the clock started on free agency. Also, well, what about a trade? All right, so again, based on what I understand, the contract there, if you want to be traded, you would have to sign a contract with the Bengals first. They can't trade you unless you sign the contract in Cincinnati. So then that would force the Bengals to absorb some of the salary in that scenario. Ergo, they'll get this taken care of. It's a good June story. And that's about it. All right, now, final point. We head to the ownership class where Woody Johnson. Now, Woody Johnson he's one of the heirs to the Johnson & Johnson Band-Aid empire. So Woody Johnson is in deep negotiation to spend about $270 million to purchase a big chunk, but not a majority, of an English soccer team, Crystal Palace FC. So Woody Johnson, we know he has strong ties to England. He was the ambassador in the UK under the first Trump administration. So Jets owner Woody Johnson in talks to buy a big piece of an English Premier League soccer franchise, Crystal Palace. How should Jet fans feel about this? Because I'm seeing some of the feedback and they're like, "Oh, this is an embarrassment. This is bad. What are we doing here? You know, we want a guy that wants the Jets to be great. Why is he going over there and screwing up and going to England and all this?" No, I have an unpopular opinion for people that believe that. If I'm a Jets fan, and I have no association with the Jets, but if I'm advising the Jets fan base, give Woody Johnson a police escort. Make sure he gets to the airport with plenty of time to go through customs and all that stuff and board his flight. Woody Johnson, as a hands-on owner, has produced donkey do. He just has. The Jets are, they're the laughing stock of the NFL and all that stuff, and we lampoon the Jets. Johnson was the only NFL owner to receive an F grade on that Fugazi Players Association annual report card thing. Under Woody Johnson's ownership, the Jets ranked 26th out of 32 teams. 26th out of 32 teams. And dividing your attention, right, that is actually a blessing in disguise. Let him be half present. Just, you hire people, let them make the decisions. And if Woody Johnson's half distracted and he's an absentee owner, that's fine. Now, the other thing here, and I don't have this kind of money, that the company makes sure I don't get the big money, but the aristocrats, like, the new thing is to get an English soccer team. Like, that's like the next must-have item. Like, it's cool to own an NFL team, but if you can have an NFL team and own part of a Premier League team, oh, man, you're the king of the cocktail party. You are. The other NFL owners currently in their portfolio that have Premier League soccer include Shad Khan from Jacksonville. He owns one of the teams there. Bucks, the Glazer family, they own Manchester United, part of it. 49ers, the York family, Leeds United. Commanders owner Josh Harris, they are the majority owners of Crystal Palace, I believe. And then Stan Kroenke also owns a Premier League team, and so that's it. That's the not a list, big board. That was a big board We'll have to go to our soccer expert, Terry, in England for more on that later.